Alright, here we go. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my live stream. Welcome back to Monday Night Raw Review. This is Jacob Cass 2027. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. This will be 1 hour long. I think I'll make this an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to do a quick review on Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about the show. We'll talk about the news and rumors in the pro wrestling community. My video is sponsored by JD from New York, Salamanca Sound Off, Fight for Pro Wrestling, and other podcasters that I know of who are in the IWC. Just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. We're going to go through Monday Night Raw here. These are the 5 matches on the show. We had the opener for the women's tag team match. Finn Balor and Dragon Lee. We had a 6-man match with the New Day and Grayson Waller against the War Raiders and Penta. But Penta's not on there, so that's Rey Mysterio. We had a pretty good match with AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio for the IC title. And then the main event with Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, LA Knight, and Jey Uso. Alright, so as I go through all these matches, alright, first I gotta go to the rest of Monday Night Raw tonight. Alright. Now before I show y'all the other podcasters like JD and Solomon and Joe Cronin, Monday Night Raw was fine. Now they were in Paris. I thought the crowd tonight was awesome. Okay. Alright. AJ Lee incoming. Oscar not messing around. There's All In. Well, All Out with Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. AEW Intercontinental Championship. International Championship. Insanely loud crowd here. Alright. Now the show opened up with hold on. Is AJ Lee return to WWE? CM Punk is waiting for Seth Rollins to arrive. That was the start of the show. Jey Uso calls out the Vision. Jey Uso and LA Knight accept the challenge for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in a tag team match. That was the main event. Io Sky apologizes to the Rookie Warriors. Teasing some kind of split here with her and Asuka and Kyrie. Stephanie Raquel will face Io Sky for the Women's World Championship to crown new World Champion at Wrestle Plaza on September 20th. So that's already set. Because Naomi had to relinquish the title because she's pregnant. Stephanie won the Battle Royal at Clash in Paris. I mean, she won it at Evolution. She was supposed to face a Clash in Paris, but Naomi had to relinquish the title. So her and Io gonna face off. I'm looking forward to that. Curious to see who's gonna win that. So CM Punk is still waiting for clobbering time with Seth. The Rookie Warriors want to help Io Sky beat. Asked Stephanie, but Io said no. We had the New Day don't want anyone to hear. The New Day don't want to hear anyone chanting the New Day. Kind of weird seeing Grayson Waller with the New Day. Now, there's also another backstage segment with the Judgment Day will be banned from ringside during Dominant match with AJ Styles. We had a confrontation with Asuka confronting Rhea Ripley. AJ Styles' entrance was phenomenal. It was a big pop here in Paris. We had a backstage segment with Lyra Valkyria want to face one of the members of Judgment Day. She might face Roxanne next week. Overkill. We'll have to see. Michael Cole gave an injury update on Roman Reigns. We know that Roman Reigns had to sell the attack last night from Braun and Bronson. I'm sure he'll be back probably by the time we get to Crown Jewels. We had a segment with LA Knight. He warned Jey Uso. Adam Pearce informed CM Punk that Seth Rollins is in the building. We had a pretty good segment with the New Day. They hold a funeral for the Raw Tag Team division. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Rusev wants to be the bigger man and extend his arm after a big win, a great match they had with Sheamus. We know that John Cena will be in Chicago this Friday, his last appearance in Chicago. Adam Pearce said to CM Punk that SmackDown is in Chicago. We might see him, we could see AJ Lee, we'll have to wait and see. I think the only thing that was actually interesting was this segment with Becky Lynch and CM Punk. Becky Lynch interrupted CM Punk. I thought that was awesome. I think it lasted like more than 20 minutes. Becky Lynch humiliates CM Punk. I thought that was pretty good. They're clearly teasing AJ Lee, and it has to be AJ Lee. No one knows making any sense. It's not gonna be Rhea, it's not gonna be Stephanie or Io. It's not gonna be Rhea, it's not gonna be Roxanne. No one knows makes sense. AJ Lee makes sense. Just based on how personal the feud is, just look at how it is. AJ Lee makes sense. I thought the segment between Becky and Punk was very, very good. Alright. So overall, the backstage segment that they showed. Okay. Now let me go into some of these podcasters here. We got Solomon there, Denise Salcedo, Joe Cronin, JD from New York. There is Fightful, but I'll show that one later.
And Rhea again? In her?
Hold on.
Another was rather unimportant. We got one really good match in that first hour, and that was Finn Balor versus Dragon Lee. Why do I care about Finn Balor versus Dragon Lee? You don't. And nobody does. The biggest talking point coming into tonight's show was the building upon what they ended the show with on Sunday night at Clash in Paris, and that is Becky Lynch officially joining the Vision. She is now officially a part of Seth Rollins' group, The Vision. We didn't know when the show ended. She tweeted something along the lines of, "We run this place," or "We run this business," hashtag The Vision. And she very blatantly let you know what exactly were her intentions. I think it's a great move. I'll get into that in a little bit. Everybody wanted to know what the follow-up was. Was it going to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins? Was it going to be Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch and CM Punk? In fact, this evening, we got Becky Lynch basically speaking up for both her and Seth Rollins in what I thought was one of the best segments on Monday Night Raw all summer.
Yeah.
They theoretically saved some of the best for last. CM Punk and Becky Lynch had a very good face-to-face confrontation tonight that really opened the door even furthermore about the big rumor of AJ Lee coming back to WWE in what could be one of the biggest mixed tag team matches, one of the biggest tag team matches of the modern era, if WWE actually has landed CM Punk's beloved wife, AJ Lee, to make her return. You know, I know a lot of people were disappointed. Some people on social media were disappointed with the way Clash in Paris went off the air. Oh my God, Becky Lynch, blah, blah, blah. People complaining that it was lame. Becky Lynch in the Vision. I don't know why anybody's complaining. I really don't. A lot of people actually had requested this just based off the relationship between Becky and Seth Rollins when this thing got first started. I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that. So basically, WWE is giving you what you want, and you're still fucking complaining. I don't understand it. Like, what else would you have Becky Lynch doing? Hanging around the mid-card with fucking Lyra again? Hanging around the mid-card with who? Natalya? Becky Lynch is too big for the Intercontinental Championship. So now they found a way to not only enhance Becky Lynch and the Intercontinental Championship, but they've also found a way to take a group in the Vision that has been absolutely borderline mediocre up until this point. And that has nothing to do with the talent in the group. Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. And then you got the Oracle, Paul Heyman. For the amount of talent in that group, it was completely missing the mark, and it was so beyond average. I don't know how more average it could get. So where is the bad by adding Becky Lynch to the Vision? It works out for everybody involved. Becky Lynch being added to the Vision has taken this group from mediocre and average to now I'm more excited about what they're doing here than I have been since the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania when we first got Braun Breaker involved. Some of you might not like Becky Lynch. For Christ's sakes, I wasn't even the biggest Becky Lynch advocate in the beginning of this man run. I thought it was overly forced. I thought it was cringe. I thought she was being jammed down our throats for one reason or another. But then she came back, and she returned as a babyface, to then ultimately go heel. Intercontinental Championship was put around her. We got a very good series of matches with Lyra, and quite honestly, if you guys don't agree with me, I don't really give a fuck. I think Becky Lynch is doing the best work of her career here. I thought the man shit, or big time Bex, or whatever the fuck you want to go and call her, ever since Nia punched her in the face, man, it has been incredibly forced. I feel for the first time in her career, since the beginning stages of NXT, Becky Lynch actually feels genuine. And Becky Lynch is in a role that actually suits her. Now you get Becky Lynch involved with Seth Rollins, and then you add CM Punk to the mix. You're gonna get some great fucking television out of it. Another criticism I see about it. Oh, it didn't work the first time. Why would WWE go back and do it now for a second time? The on-screen chemistry between Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins didn't work out the first time. Why would WWE even think about pairing them up again? You do realize that WWE, after Becky Lynch beat Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, you do realize that WWE ended up feuding Becky Lynch with fucking Lacey Evans. Do you remember that? I'm not sure many of you were even around during that time. I don't blame you, because the television was fucking putrid. You do understand that, right? And in that time, Becky Lynch, I believe, I may be off by a couple of months, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins started seeing each other. They became an item. They were a couple. Vince McMahon looked to expose that, and he looked to exploit that, and he put them on screen when they very much did not want to have their relationship out in the open. They didn't want them being together to be this big thing where everybody was fucking talking about it. They wanted it to be something that was just theirs. So when you say that their on-screen chemistry wasn't there, of course it wasn't there, because they didn't want to be in the situation that they were in then, because Vince McMahon forced it upon them. But now, everybody knows they're together. Everybody knows they're married. Everybody knows they have a child together. Everybody knows that Seth Rollins and CM Punk is the biggest feud right now in WWE. So why not get the wives involved? Because that's what the next layer of this is. Rollins has made this personal. Now CM Punk is going to make it personal right back. So I don't really understand why people are upset that Becky Lynch has A, joined the Vision, and B, joined Seth Rollins on screen. You already know they're together. So why not have them play off each other on screen on Raw to take what they're doing right now and make it better? I don't understand people. I don't understand why people are upset about that. That's why I'm here to really kind of throw some logic at you and really make you think about what you're getting and understand that it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. Tonight's segment with CM Punk and Becky Lynch was fucking great. Downright fantastic. Did Becky Lynch kind of over-exude herself? Sure. She always does. She's from Dublin. And she gets a little feisty. She gets a little fiery. Did it get a little cringy at points? Sure. But the basis of it, the center of it all, it was great. And we got another major tease, which we'll talk about, from CM Punk. Not one, but two of them, because he then later went to Adam Pearce to go find Seth Rollins after Seth Rollins just briefly crashed the party during the face-to-face with Becky Lynch and CM Punk. He went to go find Seth Rollins. Adam Pearce told him, Punk, that Rollins left the building already. And then he asked Adam Pearce, where's SmackDown? And Adam Pearce said, Chicago. CM Punk then replied, tremendous. Bro, if at this point it's not AJ Lee, man, I would be absolutely fucking floored. Just based off that one line alone. If it's not AJ Lee, WWE has failed. I said this yesterday during the Clash in Paris review, and I'm going to say it again. WWE is not going to advertise a match that they're not going to be able to deliver on. They knew before they even sent Becky Lynch out there what the fucking rumor and what the online talk was going to be. They are not going to get everybody embroiled in this, and then all of a sudden come September 20th for WrestlePalooza, it ends up being Bayley. Or everybody thinks it's Rhea Ripley. It could be Rhea, but if it is Rhea, why would you put Rhea in that spot to ultimately let everybody fucking down? WWE has an ace in their fucking hole. They had an ace up their sleeve, and it is April Mendez. That's who it is. It's nobody else. It should be nobody else. It can be nobody else, and I don't want it to be anybody else. It is April Mendez, and that is the end of it. Period. It needs to be. When she shows up, how she shows up, where she shows up, I don't know. SmackDown, just by the one line from CM Punk asking where SmackDown was, he made SmackDown must-see more so than WWE Creative has in all of 2025, this Friday. SmackDown is in Chicago. Why would he be on Chicago? I don't know. But he lives in Chicago, and if he's going to unveil his secret weapon, there's no better place to do that than from the Windy City. I thought the segment was fucking fantastic. So we will go over that and what they said, break it down right here on tonight's review. We got a main event that saw Jey Uso and LA Knight teaming up together against The Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and we got the return of Jimmy Uso to Monday Night Raw, and it looks like the Usos will be getting back together, and it is now the right time for that to happen. I thought that was excellent. Another fundamental, very linear main event tonight from WWE that was set up in the opening segment. But Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso being paired together at this stage of the game, it is best for both guys' careers. We will go over that today on the show. And then AJ Styles challenging Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know what AJ did in Paris, France. I don't know what AJ means to the people of France, but it is incredible to see how over he is, man. I mean, he was as over as John Cena was in Paris on Monday night. So we'll go over that. Did WWE drop the ball on crowning a new Intercontinental Champion? Maybe, maybe not. I would have made the decision. But WWE's got their show called Worlds Collide showing up on September 12th, and Dominic is challenging Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship. That might have something to do with how long Dominic Mysterio is holding that Intercontinental Championship. We will go over all of that today right here on Off the Script. It is your Monday, September 1st, 2025. Hopefully you guys had a great Labor Day. I was contemplating what time to go live. I watched Raw starting at 3. I ended it at 5:30. I ended up making dinner. I ended up taking a nap. And then I showered and I relaxed. And I said, you know what? 9:30 is the time. I want to keep it as close to normal time as possible. I saw Salamonster was going live at 8. You know what? I'm going live at 9:30. I thought 6 or 6:30 might have been too early. That's the thing with these European shows, man. When we get them airing live here on the East Coast at 2 or 3 o'clock, I don't know when people are watching. I know the time is fucked up for everybody. You guys are used to watching us at 10 p.m. or 10:30, and having the show happen at 2, it's very difficult to navigate what the best time is. So I said, you know what? As close to the normal time as possible. And a nighttime hangout with you guys is probably what's best for business. So that's the gist of it here on this Monday night. Brand new week of content. If you guys missed last night's Clash in Paris post-show, make sure you guys go and check it out. Really, really great discussion. We are over 50,000 views between YouTube and X. Thank you guys very much for all of the support there. For a B-level show, man, pretty good numbers right there. I thought it was a very good show. Go check that out. On top of everything else that you might have missed, I got more great content coming this week. We're live today. We'll be live tomorrow with episode 110 of Tuesday Night Titans. We'll talk all the AJ Lee rumors. We'll talk all of your weekly news and rumors wrapped up into one great show. They were a little short of that here tonight on Monday night. Wade Barrett said, let's end the tour and finish the match. And there was a terrible sequence where she went for a spinning heel kick and completely whiffed. Pinfall losses on this show. So if anybody that tells you Judgment Day is not one of the more prominent stables even still in the WWE, they're fucking bullshitting you. They are still just as important as they ever were. Really nothing here. The first hour was largely uneventful. Rhea Ripley.
It was his first year starting last year, midway through the season. And now he's going to be officially starting his second year. Well, as a...
Reflections are a funny thing. On the surface, nothing.
Say exactly when, but there was a very strong hint that it could happen as soon as SmackDown this Friday, because SmackDown this Friday is in Chicago. And when CM Punk spoke to Adam Pearce and asked him, hey, where is SmackDown on Friday? And Adam Pearce reminded him it's in your backyard of Chicago. Punk said, tremendous. And he walked off. So that was a hell of a tease right there if you weren't already planning on tuning into SmackDown this Friday, because SmackDown on Friday will be the final ever Chicago appearance for John Cena. Chicago is where John Cena made his WWE debut on SmackDown back in 2002. So for him, in many ways, it's like a homecoming. He's come full circle. So that is already being advertised for Friday. Now they're advertising CM Punk is going to be making some kind of appearance on the show. And maybe, possibly, potentially, we could get an AJ Lee return on that show as well. So that really is going to be the key story coming out of tonight. But also, at the end of the show, we had a main event of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed taking on Jey Uso and LA Knight. This was the fallout from what we had seen in the four-way match at Clash in Paris. Jey Uso and LA Knight, two losers. They did not come out of that show with the World Heavyweight Championship like they wanted to, so they were tag team partners tonight. And the Vision picks up a win, which they had to, because after the injury angle they did with Roman Reigns the night before, how are you going to beat these guys the next night? I mean, that really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. We had Jimmy Uso coming out to his brother's aid, teasing that we are going to be getting an Usos reunion back in the ring, and painting a picture, really when you look at a lot of what happened here on this show, painting a picture of what this WrestlePalooza show is going to look like in just a few weeks. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the Usos reunited for Jimmy Uso. It's the best thing possible because Jimmy Uso has been a man without a story. He's been a man without a direction on Fridays for a while now. He's kind of the forgotten Uso. And Jey Uso, he didn't win the World Heavyweight Championship back, and even Jey Uso now is sort of at a crossroads in terms of his singles run, because where to next? Where do you even go from here? Without demoting him down the card and having him in some sort of mid-card feud. It feels like the right time to do an Usos reunion. So that's seemingly in the near future. We had AJ Styles challenging Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. This was a match that was supposed to happen many, many, many weeks ago. Dom was supposedly injured. They couldn't do the match. Actually, I think it goes all the way back to Saudi. So we've been waiting for a while to get the rematch between these two men. And we had it on the show tonight. And not with the outcome that I personally was hoping for. It was actually, and the way they did it, was the worst possible outcome that you can ask for. It was so fucking lame. And it really hit me watching the end of that match, really watching the end of the show, how heel heavy they are on Monday nights. They are very heel heavy, and that has to change very soon. Every champion on this brand is a heel. Seth Rollins is the World Heavyweight Champion. Dirty Dom is the Intercontinental Champion. The Judgment Day are the Tag Team Champions. Right? I mean, you look up and down the card here, and in every instance, when you look at these champions here, they're all heels. Becky, right? Women's Intercontinental Champion. At least in a few weeks, we know we'll get a babyface at least as the Women's World Champion. But yeah, very heel heavy on Monday nights. We had more of the story involving Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley. They're playing this drama out even more this week. They had a lot of segments on the show. This story has been good for them in that they're getting a lot of real estate on these shows. Between the Kabukis and Io and Rhea, I would say they probably combined for a total of, 5 segments on the show tonight? So they're giving them a lot of face time. And we finally have a resolution to the question of what is going to happen with the vacant Women's World Championship. When Naomi surrendered the title a few weeks ago, the title has been vacant ever since. Adam Pearce had a decision to make. And the decision seemed very clear. Stephanie Vaquer won a Battle Royal at Evolution last month, right? Or now it's September. July. I can't even say last month anymore. She won a Battle Royal in mid-July to become the #1 contender for the championship in Paris. Naomi got pregnant, she had to surrender the championship, and the match didn't happen. And Adam Pearce told Stephanie last week, I need another week. Give me one more week. I have a name in mind, but I got to work it all out. But in a week, I should be able to let you know the who, what, where, and when as far as the championship match goes. And that worried me because the most obvious answer to this question is you just do Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer one-on-one. If he needs an entire week to put some kind of special deal together, then who knows what he's planning here. He may be pulling somebody from Friday night. He may be coming up with some name that we're not thinking of. And after this entire week went by, the big decision by Adam Pearce was in the end the most logical decision. Common sense prevailed because it will in fact be the two women who were owed championship matches by Naomi going one-on-one against each other to crown a new Women's World Champion. It will be Stephanie Vaquer, and she will be wrestling Io Sky. One of these two women will be the next Women's World Champion, but we're going to have to wait. We're not getting the match next week. We're not getting the match the week after. We got to wait 3 weeks. And they're saving this match for WrestlePalooza on September 20th. And one of the things that you really come away with watching this show tonight is how much they are loading up that card. Because it is the first ESPN show. So independent of anything else, they are going to want to put their best foot forward. This is a big deal that they just made with ESPN. This is a big night for them. So they're going to want to load that card up regardless. They have other motives in mind, of course, as well, as far as why they would want to load this card up. So we already know that Brock Lesnar is going to make his in-ring return on that show for the first time in over 10 years. We already know this. He's going to be wrestling John Cena on that show. It's not official yet, but we know what's going to happen there. They are also really heavily leaning into the idea that AJ Lee is going to be making a return. And it's very likely that we're going to be ending up getting, I suppose it could be a singles match with the women outside. It will likely be a mixed tag team match. If anything, it would be a mixed tag team match. We could be looking at Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch against CM Punk and AJ Lee. And that in and of itself is a huge attraction. Because AJ Lee, we haven't seen her in a decade. Right? I'm pretty sure the last match that we saw her in was WrestleMania 31. And so it's been 10 years, which is kind of interesting because her husband, when he came back, it was also a similar situation where a decade had gone by. 10 years had gone by before CM Punk came back to WWE, and here we are now in a situation where it could be 10 years between the last time we saw AJ Lee in the ring and her potential comeback in the ring. That by itself is a huge attraction if they can make that match happen for the show. Now we find out that we're going to have a new champion crown guaranteed between Io and Stephanie. It looks like we're going to get an Usos reunion on that show against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and who knows what else they might set up for that show. Beyond it being the first ESPN show, we know why they want to load this card up as hard as they seem to be doing, because again, they want to steal all the headlines away from AEW that weekend because they are going head-to-head with All Out. And so what they are doing here, they are smothering them. And it's working. They're putting together a hell of a card here. So they are going all in, no pun intended, all against All Out that weekend. And so they're going to load this thing up as much as they possibly can and get people talking about their show and not the other show. And so far, even though none of these matches are necessarily official yet, or not all of them are, we can get a really good sense of what we can expect. And it's shaping up to be a very big card that night. So we will see as far as what happens on Friday night. I'll be here with you for the SmackDown post-show. I think that's going to be a very interesting post-show. We'll talk about everything that happened here on this show and more in your Raw on Netflix review from Paris, France. It is Monday, September 1st, 2025. I am the Solid Monster, kicking off a brand new month here. Thank you for joining me. We had a fun stream yesterday for Clash in Paris. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. And of course, if we can hit 400 likes minimum, we will do Be the Booker. A little feature we do here at the end of these streams. I'll be reading your super chats, any messages that come in. I do appreciate all of your support. Hey, Chris Hansen, there he is. Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen. R-Truth, waving hello. Back when he still had the hair. Boy, what a waste that was, huh? Cut all that hair off for nothing? Yeah, he probably wanted to cut it off. He was just looking for a reason. He goes, can I please get rid of this? Can we turn this into an angle on TV? They're like, sure. And then what do they do with it? Absolutely nothing. What a waste. I mentioned Clash in Paris. If you missed it, Clash in Paris full review is up on the channel right now. Go back and check it out. My thoughts on John Cena and Logan Paul, the main event, Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, the Roman Reigns stretcher job, which I will have an update on here, is his condition. I have an update on that, and Paul Heyman as well, a little bit later on here in this review. So after highlights of what happened at Clash in Paris, the show opened here live with CM Punk, once again ready to beat up one of his co-workers backstage. He was waiting for Seth Rollins. He was waiting at the one entrance that they thought there was here to this building. And Adam Pearce comes over, tries to get him to come inside, and Punk tells him there's only one way into this building, and when I see Seth, it's going to be on sight. So he was not moving from that spot here for the duration of this show until Seth Rollins arrived to the building. In the arena, Jey Uso made his entrance through the crowd as the French fans sang his song. They had the same entrance set up with the Eiffel Tower entranceway, which again is very cool. I love those custom sets. Jey said that he was sorry because everybody wanted him to do the encore. You know, they stopped the music, and then he goes, all right, run it back. And he jumps on the ropes, and they all yeet, and he goes, we're not running it back tonight. And they booed. He said that his ribs, as we could tell, were all wrapped up. Questioned what would have happened in the World Heavyweight Championship match last night had he not helped Roman Reigns earlier in the show. He wondered what would have happened had he listened to Roman's advice and focused on himself and not helping other people. Jay said, "You don't mess with his family." He said Roman was laid up in the hospital and he called out Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So instead he got LA Knight, who made his way down to the ring. Knight said regardless of how anyone else felt, he believed in himself and he believed that he would be the World Heavyweight Champion. Knight said that he and Jay and Punk, they all lost in that match, and Seth Rollins still holds the championship. Said that some people say Jay lives in his cousin's shadow. Knight said he doesn't know about that, but he knows Rollins lives in his wife's shadow. And he took issue with Jay breaking up. There was a pin attempt during the four-way match that he had broken up, so he took issue with that. Knight said that if Jay didn't understand, he would get him up to speed very quickly. And Jay told him, "Yeah, bring me up to speed." Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed interrupted the festivities here. They walked out on stage. Breaker said that Reigns put Paul Heyman in the hospital, and that should concern Jay and LA Knight because that meant that there was no one to hold them back, right? The dog was off the leash tonight. Breaker told the crowd that Roman was in the hospital because he and Reed put him there, and Breaker said that he and Reed were a couple of dogs off the leash. I forgot he actually said that. I thought I came up with something witty, and I forgot that he actually said that here in this promo. He said without Heyman around, they're going to do what they want. Breaker said he and Reed were going to put Jay and Knight in the hospital right next to Roman Reigns. So Reed took the mic. He demanded that Paris acknowledge their tribal thief. No more Shula Fala. Didn't last very long. He did get a new t-shirt out of it, though. But it's kind of irrelevant now that he doesn't have the shoes. He said that Seth Rollins had a vision. That vision did not include Roman Reigns, hence why he got beaten down brutally last night. Reed then told Jay and LA Knight that they weren't a part of Rollins' vision, so they would be next. Breaker and Reed then challenged the two of them to face them in a tag team match tonight. Knight told Uso, "Look, we could settle our business some other time so that we could take on the Greasy Warthog and the Cross-Eyed Half-Wit in the main event tonight." And that was it. That was your standard Raw opening in front of a hot crowd here in Paris, granted, but it was your standard Raw opening. It set up the main event. LA Knight making it very clear why he is so frustrated, that he is still very frustrated with Jey Uso over what happened in the four-way match. I didn't read too much into that as far as is this leading to an LA Knight heel turn or anything like that. He's still very popular. So turning him is not necessarily something that I would do. But he is in a weird position now where, he just challenged for the championship and he did not win the title. He failed. And he wasn't even getting a shot at the championship on SmackDown. That's why I lobbied for so long, trade this guy to Raw. And I do feel Raw is a better place for him to be. But now that the world title stuff for him is come and gone, it's like, well, where do you go next with him? Dominic is the Intercontinental Champion. I can't imagine that the idea would be to feud him and LA Knight at some point and have Knight beat him. We saw that on SmackDown, him and Logan Paul, he won the U.S. title. I don't think he's that guy that they have in mind, to ultimately be the one to take that title from Dom. So he's in a weird situation now, too. You can't go much longer with him and the vision, right? It's going to get old. It already feels old. Where do you go next with him? As a babyface. Where do you go next with LA Knight? I don't know, but he is still very popular. So I don't think that they are planning any sort of turn anytime soon. Could be something that maybe a few months down the road, it might be worth looking into. He was a very good heel, in NXT. He can make either one work. But just as long as he's as popular as he still is as a babyface, I probably would leave well enough alone. Now backstage, Io Sky approached Asuka and Kairi Sane and apologized for what happened the other week. Asuka laughed and said it was okay. She said that we are a family. Asuka said that she and Kairi would take care of the Judgment Day for her. Io asked if they needed any help. And Kairi was like, "Oh yeah, we would love to have your help." But then Asuka interjected and said, "We don't need your help like Rhea Ripley does." So after Asuka walked away, Kairi told Io that everything would be okay. And you could hear Asuka in the background yelling for Kairi to come. And, well, to come. Rewind, she was calling for Kairi to come with her. And Kairi had this look on her face like she was all nervous, kind of like I am right now. I guess we know who wears the pants in that family. We saw this in multiple segments on this show, by the way, where Asuka would yell and Kairi would have, like a little puppy dog would have to go running along. This was the first of many segments that these women had here on this show. And we had Asuka, speaking of which, very next segment, we had Asuka and Kairi Sane in the ring, taking on Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Look at you. Look at all these degenerates in the chat. You people, you people. It's terrible. That's what she said. She said, Kairi, come. Kairi has to do what Asuka says. That's how it works. So we had the Kabukis here against the Judgment Day. Asuka and Roxanne, they got things started. Roxanne tagged in Raquel, who used her strength to lift up Asuka to avoid an octopus at one point. Kairi tagged in, and Roxanne re-entered, got the advantage for her team. The match resumed after a commercial break with the heels maintaining the advantage over Kairi Sane. She eventually got the tag back to Asuka, and she blasted Roxanne with a combination of kicks. Then she locked in an armbar submission on her. Now, are you actually comparing Kairi Sane to beer? That's insulting. You shouldn't even mention the two of them in the same sentence together. What's the matter with you? Raquel broke up the hold with an elbow drop before she tagged herself into the match. Raquel smashed Asuka with a clothesline, followed by a rope-assisted suplex. Raquel tried for the Tahana bomb, but got taken out of the ring. So inside the ring, an Asuka lock got reversed into a pin by Roxanne. Asuka kicked out. Kairi took Raquel out of the equation with an insane elbow from the top rope all the way down to the floor. Raquel was standing. So it was a standing, insane elbow bump that she took. Both women went down to the ground. We didn't see Raquel. That was it for Raquel at that point.
Domino's Best Deal Ever is back because we know you love to get the most out of your pizza by getting the most on your pizza. Get any hand-tossed pan thin crust or New York-style pizza with any toppings for just $9.99 online. Get extra without paying extra for $9.99 at Domino's.
At that point. Inside, Asuka went for it was either a kick, like a running kick, or a hip attack to Roxanne. I'm not sure which. It did not connect well. It did not look good. Then there was a lot of awkwardness because Asuka tried to get Roxanne in position for a pin. And again, I don't know if she realized that what she had just done didn't look good, so she had to pivot to a different move, and she was supposed to pin Roxanne with that move. Because actually, that was the move that Asuka's been using since she came back. I don't want to say it's a shining wizard, but it's like that kind of move. It's like a running hip attack. That's what I'm thinking. Now that I think back, she was supposed to finish her off with that. It looked like shit. She went to go pin her. Referee didn't even hit a 1 count before Asuka just picked her back up. They just looked like they were totally on different pages. And Asuka's like, fuck this. And she just put her in an Asuka lock, fell backwards, and Roxanne quickly tapped out. So it was a decent match with a very sloppy finish here at the end. I think that's what happened. I think Asuka probably realized, yeah, this move did not connect in the way that I was hoping that it would, so we gotta pivot to something else. And so she won with the Asuka lock. And you know, for all the hints about Asuka and very heelish the way that she's been acting over the last few weeks, crowd in Paris didn't care. You know, they cheered for her wildly when they came out, and they cheered for her when she won the match. Now after this, we had a video that aired, a pre-recorded announcement from the Raw General Manager, Adam Pearce, addressing the vacant Women's Championship situation. He said the match to crown a new champion will be contested between two women who were owed championship matches by Naomi, Stephanie Vaquer, being one of those women, and Io Sky. And the match will happen in 3 weeks. First ever PLE on ESPN, that being WrestlePalooza on September 20th. He didn't really need that extra week. I mean, let's be honest here. What the fuck did he need the extra week for? No, because they made the decision. They did not want this match on the Paris card. They knew probably 2 weeks what they were doing here. And they said, how can we drag this out long enough that we can do this match on September 20th? So let's just not announce anything. And then we'll delay it another week. And once we get past the Clash in Paris card, then we'll make the announcement, and then we'll wait another 3 weeks. And we'll crown a champion. So basically, by the time we get to Indianapolis and we crown a new women's world champion, we will have been without a women's world champion for over a month. Next week, they're going to be on the show. I think it's a face-to-face or a contract signing, whatever it is. We're going to have a segment with Stephanie and Io on the show next week. As far as the match itself, this is the match that should have been made. This was the right call to make. There was no other match, really, that would have made sense short of just throwing a bunch of women in a match, and that would have been very unfair to Stephanie Vaquer. That's not fair to Vaquer. So Io and Stephanie, absolutely the right move to make. Io and Stephanie is going to be a fucking great match, especially on a PLE. I mean, we've seen them on TV before, but now you put them on a major show like this. I mean, you saw the match that Io and Rhea had in the main event of Evolution. This won't be the main event, but I'm very much looking forward to this match. No matter who wins, we all win. That's how I look at it. If Io wins, and I think she will, it's a great decision. If Stephanie wins, I think it would be premature, but I wouldn't hate it. You know, I'm not going to be upset if she wins the championship. So there really is no, there's no loser here. You know, there's no bad decision really to be made. I do feel like, and I've said this before, I said this on the podcast, that it's just not the right time to put the championship on Stephanie. I actually like the idea of her challenging for the IC title, but whether they do that or not, I feel like you want to really build up to that moment when it'll be the most meaningful. And the problem is that ever since she won that Battle Royal, we have barely seen this woman on television. So yes, people like her, and they love the Devil's Kiss, and they like Stephanie Vaquer. We don't know a whole lot more than that about her, and she really has not had any sort of deep story on this show since she got called up from NXT. She's just been floundering over the last month as they tried to figure out, okay, what do we do here? You know, she was waiting for a title match that ended up not happening. Now you're making her wait another 3 weeks. I just feel like it would be much better to hold off until next year, whether it's WrestleMania or some other show, and really build to that being a much bigger moment. They may look at it differently and say, well, this is a big moment. This is our first ESPN show. We're loading up WrestlePalooza. It would be a huge night for her to win her first championship on that show. And true, to some extent, I could see that. It's not the move I would make. I just think there's a better story to be told with her if you hold off and wait. You put the title back on Io. Obviously, it's only going to be for a very brief period of time. Io is not going to win the championship back and hold it for 6 months. Effectively, if Io were to win the title back, she would be a transitional champion to get the belt onto Rhea, which I think is what's going to probably end up happening in Perth anyway. So it's not like she's going to have some long run. But I just think that would be the better move to make at this point. And it seems pretty obvious, though. Now, I think that Io should win, but you have Asuka, who on this show, in a segment later on, flat out told Io, I'm going to be there. We are going to be there to help you against Stephanie. Even though Asuka, or Io rather, told Asuka, I don't need your help, Asuka said, we're going to be there to help you against Stephanie. So they're already setting up the Kabuki Warriors to interfere or be ringside or be a part of this match in some way. And you have to expect that if that's the case, they're going to get involved. It's probably going to backfire. Things are going to go sideways. And if it does, that probably doesn't bode very well for Io Sky. And that's another reason why I would rather not see Stephanie win. Like, if Stephanie wins, is she going to win because of some sort of botched interference? Is she going to backdoor her way into her first Women's World Championship on the main roster? That sucks. I wouldn't do it that way. But they certainly set things up in a way that makes you think that Asuka is going to get involved and cost Io the match. We had Finn Balor one-on-one against Dragon Lee. We We got some chain wrestling here at the start between the two. Balor hit a backbreaker after Balor missed with a running strike in the corner. Dragon Lee sent Balor to ringside, and then he soared with a dive out over the top rope. That led to a break. They came back with Balor trapping Lee in a rest hold. Exciting. Lee fought out of it. He lit up Balor's chest with chops. Lee hit a very impressive roll into a sit-out powerbomb that got a close near fall. Lee headed up top. He hit a diving crossbody. Balor kicked out at 2. And Balor caught Lee with a shotgun dropkick. He looked like he was getting ready for the coup de grace when J.D. McDonough jumped up on the apron, but he quickly fell victim to a diving Dragon Lee who cleared the top row and then caught McDonough with his legs and took him off the apron all the way down to the floor. He splatted on the floor with a Hurricane Rana. This, though, gave Balor enough time to recover from the Tree of Woe position that he was in. He reached up, he grabbed a hold of Dragon Lee's mask, pulled him down off the top rope, and then he hit the coup de grace for the win. This was fun. A fun match. The crowd was lively for it. They broke out into some kind of chant. I don't know what they were doing, but they were jumping up and down. It was crazy. Like, they got this wide shot of the crowd, like, just randomly in the middle of this match. I don't know if they were just doing some kind of general chant or if they were chanting for Finn Balor. I don't know. But they were very lively here during this match. And, you know, Dragon Lee last week, he got his first singles win last Monday since November. That was against J.D. McDonough. So then this week he goes in there and he loses to Finn Balor. I mean, it's parody booking at its finest here. One week he gets a win over the Judgment Day. The next week they take it back. He coughs it right back up. 50-50 at its finest. It's a fun match, though. As Io Sky was backstage, she was having a very pleasant conversation with Nikki Bella. When they showed Nikki Bella on screen, by the way, audible boos from the crowd in the arena. They were rudely interrupted by the Kabuki Warriors. This is where I mentioned earlier, where Asuka offered to be in Io's corner for her match with Stephanie at WrestlePalooza. Nikki did not seem very enthusiastic, by the way, about Asuka interrupting her. You know, at least, I'll say this, at least there was no hint that they're going back to Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch. That was my fear coming out of Clash in Paris, especially with that kind of fluky finish, the way that Becky beat her, that they might run this back one more time, maybe do a title match on TV or something. I have no appetite to see it. I don't know that there are very many people out there who have any great desire to see those two women back in the ring together because they just did not work that well together. So we did not get any hint of that tonight, which is good. Good thing. Now, elsewhere backstage, Balor and McDonough, they met up with Dominic Mysterio, and Dom said that we got to do something about AJ Styles, who he was wrestling later tonight. Adam Pearce showed up. He said, I just saw what happened during your match, Finn. And he says, that's not going to happen again. So he banned Balor and McDonough from ringside for the Intercontinental title match later in the show. Balor was all smiles, and he looked at Dom and said, well, we'll be there in spirit. He's greatly enjoying himself at Dom's expense. We had the New Day and Grayson Waller, 6-man tag taking on Penta and the War Raiders. What a team this is. Woods stomped Eric before he mocked Penta's strut right to Penta's face. Eric caught Woods with a knee to the face before Ivar entered the match. Waller avoided a running hip attack in the corner. Penta got the hot tag. He went to town on Xavier Woods and Grayson Waller. Penta attempted a Penta driver. Woods, though, countered just as Eric tagged in again. Waller connected with a rolling flatliner on Eric as Kingston headed up top with the crossbody. Penta broke up the count as things started to break down here in this match. Later on in the match, there was this clumsy spot where Eric he tossed Xavier Woods. The idea was that he tosses him, and then Ivar at the same time comes off the ropes with a splash, right? I guess that was what it was designed to be. It just didn't come off well. It's almost like he landed more kind of on his head than his body. It didn't look good. Penta followed up with a Mexican destroyer, and he pinned Xavier Woods to put it away for the baby faces here in this match. It was a solid match. I mean, outside of that awkward spot with the Vikings, I'm not sure that this win or this match really means anything at all in the big picture. I'm glad Penta got the win. That was nice. I'd rather he win than lose, but I have the same feeling now that I've had for the last month and a half, which is that they don't seem to have any real solid direction for this man. And that is something that has to change, very soon.
Yo, what's better than a great touchdown? 5 great touchdowns.
Jamal Charles was cooking. Cooking.
See, those are grown man touchdowns right there.
What is that supposed to mean? Grown man touchdowns. Tell me what it means, weird beard. You look like you about to give out the Gettysburg Address. You got a log cabin? That stovepipe hat? What's the spread, Brian? Is it 4 scores?
New customers bet $5 to get $300 instantly in bonus bets. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV. The crown is yours.
Soon. And the New Day, they're trying with their heel gimmick. They come out, they try to get heat, they cut promos on the crowd, sometimes during the commercial breaks. That's where most of their work happens these days. They have been so marginalized on this show that the majority of their work doesn't even happen on the actual show. They had a segment that they shot in a funeral, well, it was in a funeral home probably, but it was a room, it was meant to be a funeral for the tag team division. Michael Cole promoted this throughout the show. The New Day, we're going to show you later on, the New Day, they threw a funeral for the tag team division here on Raw. Now, maybe it was different on your feed depending on where you live, but on my feed, this fucking segment aired during the commercial because they had the little countdown clock in the corner counting down to when they came back from break. So this was so important that they aired this during the commercial break. And it was just Woods and Kingston in what was supposed to be a funeral home, a funeral setting, cutting a promo on the tag team division. That's really all it was. It wasn't really funny. It wasn't really anything that's worth going gaga over here. I mean, they could have had some fun with it, but it was pretty basic stuff. But the fact that they could not even take the time to air it during the actual show, I think speaks volumes about what they think of the New Day right now as far as carving out time for them on these shows. I mean, we know where things were when they first went heel in terms of the heat they were getting, and that disappeared very quickly. But they really haven't done much to try to kind of get them back to a place where they feel like an important part of the show. They just don't. Now, if the Usos are going to be reunited, I suppose they could always go back to the Usos and the New Day. It's been years since we've seen them feud. It would be a little bit different now because the roles are completely flipped, where the Usos are the baby faces and the New Day are the heels. Before, the New Day were the baby faces and the Usos were the heels, I think, for most of it. So maybe they revisit that, right? I mean, it would be a step down for Jey Uso, but it would be something at least for the New Day to do on these shows. But, they're throwing a funeral for the tag team division. They're basically throwing a funeral for themselves. They may as well be. Because it feels like their careers have really hit the skids here during this heel turn on this show. That funeral was for themselves as much as it was the rest of the tag team division. Now, backstage, Kathy Kelly spoke to Rhea Ripley. And she asked Rhea Ripley if her friendship with Io Sky complicates her championship ambitions. Ripley said that she would do whatever it takes to get the title back and get back in the title hunt before the Kabuki Warriors interrupted her. Asuka accused Rhea of not being a true friend to Io. Ripley warned Asuka not to push her. Even though she was trying to play nice for Io's sake, don't push me. Asuka got right up in her face, said that she can push whoever she wanted. She said, no one is ready for Asuka. Not even Rhea. Asuka left. Kairi stayed behind, and she looked very sheepishly at Rhea until you could hear Asuka in the background call for her to come. Kairi, come! And Kairi left. Kairi's facial expressions, I will say, her acting a couple weeks ago was very over the top, but her facial expressions in this are very good. You really do feel a lot of sympathy for her. Elsewhere, Roxanne Perez complained to Adam Pearce that she should have been added to the Women's World Championship match because she was the one who beat Io Sky, which is true. That week that Io was supposed to wrestle Naomi, she wrestled Roxanne instead, and Roxanne pinned her. Lyra Valkyria walked in. She started arguing with Roxanne and Raquel. Pierce told Lyra, after the Judgment Day finally left, he was supposed to meet with Lyra, and he informed Lyra that he had spoken with Bayley, because Lyra's been very concerned about Bayley, which I don't really understand, because it was only a few weeks ago that Lyra told Bayley, "Leave me alone, I want nothing to do with you." Ever since then, Lyra has been obsessed with Bayley. She is so concerned about this woman's mental state and her well-being, she can't shut up about it. So Adam Pearce said that he spoke to Bayley, and outside of some weird things that she said to him, he said that she sounded great, and she'll be back very soon. Valkyria said, look, I need to get back in the ring, and I'll happily wrestle one of them, right? Either Roxanne or Raquel. And Pearce said, I think I can make that happen. So that'll be for next week. She'll be wrestling one of the members of the Judgment Day. Why does Lyra even care about Bayley? Says Lemon Cake. I don't know. Maybe it's like one of those friendships where, you just tell the other person, I don't care about you anymore. Stay away from me. Stay out of my life. And then maybe you see that person has fallen on tough times, and it looks like Lyra now is feeling a little guilty, maybe. She's still very concerned about Bayley. I don't know. But it's just funny to me how she was the one who told Bayley, look, you kind of fucked me over here. I can't ever challenge Becky again for the Intercontinental title thanks to you. Leave me alone. I want nothing to do with you. And literally the only thing Lyra has done since then, she hasn't wrestled. All she's ever doing is talking about Bayley to Adam Pearce. After this, Alexander says Lyra has a crush on Bayley. Which version of Bayley? I think we're going to get multiple versions of Bayley when we see her back on TV. Which version does she have a crush on? We had AJ Styles against Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. The only time that the Intercontinental title has ever been defended in France before tonight was on French TV in 1993. It was Shawn Michaels defending the title against Bob Backlund. So here we are, big championship match. Styles entered first, and the announcers, they laid out. They didn't say a word. They just let the audience do the talking. And these people, they serenaded AJ Styles with loud chants, and all he could do is just stand there and take it all in and just admire it. And he had a big smile on his face, and they just kept going and going and going. They went to a commercial break. All throughout the commercial break, these people continued to sing and chant for AJ Styles. They never let up. To the point where 4 minutes later, 3 or 4 minutes, whatever it was, when they came back from the commercial break, they were still singing and chanting for AJ Styles. And that wasn't a case where they stopped during the commercial and started back up again. It never let up for like 5 or 6 minutes straight. And it's crazy because for all the years that AJ has been doing this, he's been doing this a very long time, over 2 decades now. I would find it hard to believe that he ever performed in front of a crowd like this before, that reacted to him in this way. I know he had that crowd for his match with Cody in Lyon last year, but this was something on like another level before his match even started. So then Dom came out, and he entered to booze. Dominic hit a sneak attack on Styles during the ring intros to get the early advantage. Late in the match, Styles propped up Dominic for an attempt at a Styles clash that got countered. Dom reversed the phenomenal forearm before he threw him out of the ring with a Hurricane Rana from the apron. After a baseball slide from Dom, Styles caught him and dumped him onto the French announce desk with a powerbomb. That took us into another commercial break. Dom had a run of offense after this that included a top rope frog splash. That got him a near fall only. Styles came back and hit the Styles clash. AJ went for the pin. Dom's foot, though, was touching the rope. It's like touching the middle rope. So the referee wouldn't count. And we even got a Bloody Sunday from AJ Styles in this match. We got a Bloody Sunday brainbuster from AJ Styles. Styles, at this point, he's set up for the phenomenal forearm. And he's on the apron. He's getting ready for it. El Grande Americano shows up. El Grande Kaiser shows up outside the ring. The referee is tied up with Dom on the other side, so he doesn't know what's going on here. Americano, he loads his mask, sticks that little plate underneath his mask, and he headbutts AJ in the chest.
Ready to lose the hat and regrow the hair? With Chews by Hims, you can regain your hair and your confidence. Our chews are powered by clinically proven ingredients like minoxidil and finasteride, so you can grow thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months. Your treatment is 100% personalized to your hair goals and comes at an affordable price that works for your budget, so you can step out with full confidence. Hats off to hair growth with treatment that works for you. Start today at hims.com.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power, trusted for over 100 years. Our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
It just was silly. Because AJ now is like knocked out. He's in the ring, he's all laid out, he's not moving. I don't know if it was supposed to be that he headbutted him, like in the face or the head. But he headbutted him in the chest, and AJ is just unconscious and unable to move. And Dom goes up top, he hits another frog splash, and he scores the pin. A very lame finish to a very good match otherwise. But man, that finish sucked. That finish absolutely sucked. And it sucked the life out of this crowd, too. Now, look, we've been seeing Dom. I'm not even saying storyline-wise it doesn't make sense. You could have something that makes total sense, storyline-wise, and it still sucks. But, like, storyline-wise, we've been seeing Dom for weeks now having these conversations in the back with El Grande Americano, right? Finn Balor keeps coming over to him and going, what's up here? What's going on with this guy? Dom's always telling him, don't worry about it. We're talking strategy. Don't worry about it. So we know that there's some sort of a business relationship here between the two of them. It also plays into Americano potentially assisting him next week. The end of next week is the next Worlds Collide show. And Dom is challenging Vikingo for the AAA Mega title. And so what role, if any, might El Grande Americano play in that match? So story-wise, it makes sense, but I just think it was so stupid not to do the title change here. If ever there was a place for it, it felt like this was it. My bigger issue with this, though, it goes beyond Dom and AJ Styles. It's this epidemic of interference finishes practically every week that Triple H loves to do. There's a time and a place for it. I use the word epidemic because that's what it feels like. It just feels like it's just a constant thing that we have to sit through on these shows, and it just really makes for bad television. When you do it all the time, it just makes for bad, lazy television. And we've been seeing a lot of it, whether it's the Judgment Day, whether it's the Vision, whether it's the women. It happens with everybody. And a lot of it is on this show. Not that it never happens on SmackDown, but it's this epidemic of just interference, bullshit finishes or disqualification finishes at a rate that I feel like we haven't seen in a very long time. They need to dial it back. Now, you can still do it. You're not going to get clean finishes in every match, but just dial it back. It's bad enough that they're so heel heavy on this show right now, but the constant interference finishes, it's just so lazy. Is this all they know? I mean, come on. With all the brains that you got back there in these meetings, I mean, I'm sure you can come up with something better than that. Just to keep falling back on that and rely on that constantly, it just makes for bad TV. Michael Cole gave us some injury updates on Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman suffered a larynx contusion, which is not so good for a guy who uses his voice. So they sort of indicated that we may not see him for a few weeks. Roman Reigns, meanwhile, they claim suffered multiple fractured ribs, and he's going to be out of action indefinitely. Yes, out of action indefinitely until his movie is done filming. And then his ribs will miraculously heal themselves, and we will see him back on TV. Backstage, Rhea Ripley was speaking with CM Punk, who was still waiting for Seth Rollins to arrive at that gate in the back. 2 hours into the show, he's been standing there the entire time, staring at this gate. Rhea said that she was sorry about what happened to Punk at Clash in Paris. Punk was very cordial, said that he knew Rhea had her own issues lately, and he told her to watch her back as she left. Adam Pearce showed up and told Punk that he was told Seth Rollins was already in the building. And Punk couldn't believe it. He said, I thought this was the only way in. Pearce said, I know, but this is what I've been told. I've been told that Seth Rollins is already in the building. And Punk said that he would take care of business, and he walked off as Pearce asked, what does that mean? Well, he's about to find out what that means. We got a vignette for Rusev. He spoke about two friends walking into war. Only one of them walked out. Rusev said he's not a bully, he's a beacon. He said that if Sheamus extends his arm, then maybe they could be friends again. And when he said that, I'm thinking, well, I mean, maybe they're going to end up coming together as some kind of tag team, and they're going to rip ass, in the tag team division. Or whatever division they have here on this show. But then he immediately followed that up by saying that Sheamus, as long as Sheamus knows that his place is beneath his feet. And at that point I said, well, that doesn't sound like much of an invitation to be good friends again or tag team partners, so I don't think that's going to happen. And then he issued a warning to the rest of the roster. This was not much of a follow-up to that big win that he got in that Donnybrook match at Clash in Paris. I think it's very important that they establish his next direction quickly and capitalize off that win over Sheamus for whatever that may be worth, so at least it means something. They didn't do that here. And I can't even sit here and tell you there's an obvious direction for him. I'd have to really sit here and think about who I might want to program him with next. Again, you have all heel champions on this show, so he's not challenging for a title anytime soon. But again, that's their job. Their job is to huddle up and come up with a game plan on how to use this man. You saw enough to give him a spot on a PLE where a lot of other people were left off that show, including Stephanie Vicaire, which pissed me off. But you gave him a PLE spot, Rusev got the win. Follow up on it. And instead, we got a vignette very similar to vignettes they've done with him before. Sometimes they don't really go anywhere. I can only hope that they have some direction in mind for him. But it's very important, though, on next week's show, they get him on the show, and not in one of these videos, but they get him on the show and really begin to establish some kind of direction for him. You put him over Sheamus. I thought Sheamus would win the match. Rusev won. Okay, great. Now what? That's what the question always is. Now what? That's over. It's in the rear view now. You're going to do something with him? Okay. Let us know what that's going to be. I hope they know. Unless they just give us a bunch of videos until they figure it out on the fly. CM Punk made his way out to the ring before the main event, and he had a message for one Seth Rollins. This show doesn't run on Seth's timeline. He said he's out there to hijack the show, and he's going to sing songs with all the fans here in Paris until they go off the air if need be, until Seth Rollins comes out here and faces him man to man. And then we heard, "Burn it down!" And I'm like, oh God. But we didn't get Mr. Burn It Down. In fact, we got his wife, the Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch, who walked out on stage doing all of Seth's goofy mannerisms, like she's swimming through the air. And she made her way down to the ring with a microphone in her hand. And the first thing that she got hit with when she got into the ring were loud chants of AJ Lee. Loud enough that she had to acknowledge them. She said, always chanting for a dope who doesn't work here. Which actually was a very effective line. considering what she was about to get into here in this promo. So she had to have that one in her back pocket. She had to know that she might get hit with those chants as soon as she came to the ring, because she was prepared. Punk said he's not going to do this. I'm not going to do this, right? This has nothing to do with you unless you've got your phone on you and you can call Seth and get his rotten ass out here. And Becky told him, you don't tell me what to do. This has everything to do with me. You think you only affect one person in my family? Punk said that he sees where this is going, he doesn't want any part of it, and he went to go leave. And Becky stopped him and said, no, you're going to stay and listen to what I have to say. And so he did. She's had to listen to Punk tell lies about her husband and berate the father of her child, the greatest man that she has ever known. Punk said her husband is a coward. She said her husband is everything Punk will never be. Her husband is hot. Her husband is jacked. Her husband is talented. Punk interrupted and said he's delusional. She said, he doesn't interrupt me. Punk said he wishes that he would, so that he wouldn't have to listen to her anymore, and he can punch Seth's teeth down his throat. Becky said that when Punk walked out of here, all those years ago, you think it only affected Seth and his matches? No. It was Punk's name that the fans were chanting during her matches to let her know that they didn't care about her or the hard work that she was putting in. She said Punk is not the voice of the voiceless, he's the poster child for apathy. These fans that she forgot about, these fans think she forgot about that. So why? Because they carried her to the main event of WrestleMania? She goes, I carried myself to the main event of WrestleMania. Just like her and her husband got this business to where it is today. So the fans started telling her to shut the fuck up. She said that she will not. This isn't about you, this is about me. She started a revolution, she said. They're in the middle. Why do I have to listen to... Why is it that every time we have one of these promos, whether it's Becky, whether it's Nikki Bella, I always have to hear this talk about how we started a revolution. We started a revolution. You know who the greatest revolutionaries are? The ones who don't have to tell you that they started a revolution. People just know it. You let other people say it. But she's out there and she's talking about how she started a revolution. They're in the middle of a revolution right now. They're both champions. And her husband, he is a visionary. He is a revolutionary. And she is the greatest female wrestler of all time, even Sports Illustrated agrees. And they're going to need Punk to get the hell out of the way. So now we get more chants of AJ Lee, AJ Lee, AJ Lee. Becky shouted, she doesn't work here. But Punk doesn't fit the vision, she said. So Punk said, that sounded good, but the vision's a bit blurry, isn't it, Becky? This is a 10-year beef because they chanted my name during your matches? Says he's the best in the world, and it's not just him saying it. It's 10,000 maniacs, 20,000 maniacs, 30,000 maniacs. And the crowd got really amped up at this point. Start chanting for him. So they chant his name if he works here, if he doesn't work here. They chanted if he's the champion. They chanted if he's not the champion. You know who else chants his name? All the towns that he was just in. He listed off all the towns that he visited on this tour. Liverpool and Newcastle, and Leeds, Cardiff, Birmingham. You know who he didn't see in all those towns? Becky and her stupid husband with their plastic belts. Uh-oh. Don't be saying plastic belts. Remember, I got that angry phone call that time on one of the streams about the plastic belt on Dynamite. One of the all-time classic moments. who was it? Thunder Rosa? Someone had a NWA Women's title on Dynamite. This was during the pandemic shows. He was very upset. He insisted that title was plastic. How could you have a plastic belt on our show? I don't know. I don't know what Punk was talking about here, talking about plastic belts. So tell me again, he says, who runs things, and he'll tell her the only thing he runs from, that being Seth, is adversity. Because he hides behind Paul Heyman, he hides behind Braun Breaker, he hides behind Bronson Reed, and now he's hiding behind his wife. And far be it for him to reduce somebody of her stature to somebody's wife, because Becky, he admits, is a supremely talented superstar. She just has bad taste and married a bum. And he needs Seth to know that this thing between them will never be over. And so guess who moseyed out on stage at this point? Seth Rollins. And he walks out there, he's waving to Punk from the stage. He said he's been looking for him all night. And if Punk has something to say to your world champion here, why don't you come on up here and say it to my face? Punk went to go leave. Becky stepped in front of him. He tried again. She moved in front of him. Seth left at that point, and Becky slapped Punk. And it wasn't just one slap. She slapped him initially, and then she started smacking him repeatedly, and she started shoving him and poking his chest, and she's telling him to do something about it. Becky told him that he was pathetic, and Punk looked like he was ready to explode. Punk said that he's going to make Seth Rollins ever regret cashing in on him, cashing in that Money in the Bank, and Becky is going to regret ever putting her hands on him. And the fans cheered because they know what that means. They know what that means. Becky told him, get out of here. You're gross. I'm going to have to bathe in bleach. I already had to throw out my hoodie. I got your gross ball sweat on me. She tried to get the fans to sing the goodbye song to Punk. They didn't. They just booed her instead. Punk left with a very angry look on his face. And Becky told him, you'll never be champion. Now, in the back later, Punk was walking by. He ran into Adam Pearce, and he asked Adam Pearce, where is he? And Pearce told him, look, he's gone. He's gone. He left. He's not here anymore. Punk asked him, where's SmackDown on Friday? And Pearce told him, Chicago. Home sweet home. Why? Punk smiled and said, tremendous, before walking off. And Pearce asked, what the hell does that mean? What it means is very likely the return of AJ Lee in Chicago on SmackDown this Friday, or at least it could be coming as soon as this Friday. Because after this, let me look at everything that has happened in the last 24 hours, okay? From the moment that Becky Lynch revealed herself at the end of the main event in Clash in Paris, people were talking about AJ Lee and a possible return. Tonight only threw more gasoline on the fire. Now, Fightful had a report that within WWE internally, they have come up with pitches that do involve AJ Lee, but the story doesn't indicate it's a done deal. They don't even indicate that there are actual discussions that have taken place. Only that there are people in WWE who would love very much to have her back. I don't believe that. Not that I don't believe they wouldn't want her back. I don't believe that we are seeing what we are seeing on TV without them knowing that she's coming back. It doesn't make sense. Why would you do something like this? Why would you even tease something like this? Why would you tease your fans? You know the first thing they're going to think of. Why would you tease them and not have a commitment from this woman to come back? It's inconceivable to me. Now, I do look at the segment they did earlier when Punk was waiting by the gate and he was talking to Rhea Ripley, and I look at that and I go, I wonder if that's their fallback plan. If they can't get AJ Lee, they have already now set up a friendship, right, or an understanding between Rhea Ripley and CM Punk. And I also find it very hard to believe that we're going to have back-to-back PLEs with no Rhea Ripley match. I don't know what else she would be doing on that show, right? She'll be in Perth. But why would you leave Rhea Ripley off Paris and then off of WrestlePalooza? She's one of the most popular stars in the entire company. It is possible Rhea Ripley could be a fallback. You can get Punk and Rhea against Seth and Becky. But again, it doesn't really make any sense. This doesn't involve her. This has nothing to do with her. Rhea's entire story is wanting to challenge for the World Championship. It has nothing to do with Becky. It has nothing to do with the Intercontinental title. I don't buy it. This is all about AJ Lee. And this is not happening. We are not talking about this right now unless they have some sort of commitment from her that she is going to be a part of this. I just don't believe it. It would be booking malpractice for this to be done and for them to not have had any conversations with this woman about coming back. And I will say this. If we do not get AJ Lee back as part of this story, if we do not get her back for a mixed tag match here, and she just really doesn't want to come back, she will never be back. Like, it's now or never. Like, the story is right there. It's right there. And if she doesn't come back, she just doesn't want to ever come back. That's it. I don't want to hear anybody mention this ever again after this. She's totally coming back here. And that was the whole point of the ending of the segment where Punk said, "You're going to regret ever putting your hands on me." And him talking to Adam Pearce in the back and saying, Chicago on Friday, tremendous.
Whether you're a professional or just love getting hands-on with your home projects, Harbor Freight offers quality hand tools backed by a lifetime guarantee. Harbor Freight, your hand tools destination.
This Labor Day tent sale, we're going to have some of your favorite brands under the tent. Popular brands like North Face and Patagonia, and a wide selection of last year's skis and boots. So don't miss out and come to Proctor Ski and Board this Labor Day weekend.
Tremendous. Like Mr. Burns. Excellent. Excellent. And he walks off. So, without telling you, they basically told you, get ready, because AJ Lee is coming back. I mean, it can't be anybody else. Becky, I thought, was fantastic here in this segment. She was a fantastic instigator. She was doing everything she could to get under Punk's skin. Then she put her hands on him and she was smacking him around. I thought her explanation for why she hates Punk was good. I like the fact that it's not just, oh, he's my husband and I'm sticking up for my husband. She tried to add a personal element to it. It's like, oh, I had to go through all this shit all those years when you weren't around, and you could have come back, and you chose not to. And so people like me had to suffer through chants of CM Punk when I was putting in my blood, sweat, and tears. And people didn't give a shit, and instead they chanted for you. You know, is it a bit of a reach? Maybe, but you know what? I appreciate the fact they at least tried to add her own personal explanation to it for why she doesn't have really any care in her body at all for this man. I thought it worked. I like the fact they at least offered that as an explanation. And again, the way they seem to be loading up that WrestlePalooza card, you can tell they're going balls out here to try to stack this card as much as they possibly can. If they can get Punk and AJ Lee, AJ's first match in a decade, taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, that's a huge attraction for the show. There's going to be a lot of people talking about AJ Lee and making a big deal about it. And you may see some people going, what's the big deal? It's not like AJ Lee was the greatest women's wrestler in the history of WWE. No, she wasn't. Although I thought that AJ was actually, very good. For her skill level and the matches that she had some good matches. She's not remembered for having classic wrestling matches. AJ's personality, it's very much a CM Punk-like situation. CM Punk went out there and had classic wrestling matches, but CM Punk was known for shooting his mouth off on the microphone, and he got people talking. Punk could go out there with the microphone, right? He was a wizard with it. He knew how to push all the right buttons and get people talking and say things that were controversial. AJ Lee was very much like that, right? People still talk about the Divas pipe bomb, like that's her pipe bomb, where she dropped that bomb on the entire division, including the Bellas. And that was a very memorable promo. Even when AJ was part of that whole triangle with Punk and Bryan Danielson, and then they made her the general manager for a while, she was a heavily featured on-screen performer. Forget her work in the ring. She was a big part of Monday Night Raw for a very long time. She was very good in that role. But again, over time, she got that reputation for you put a microphone in her hand, And unlike a lot of the other women in that division,